All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the Pixel Perfect Builder. That's our flagship product for Builderall, of course. And honestly, in my opinion, I've never quite seen anything like the Pixel Perfect Builder. It's literally drag and drop functionality. And what you see is what you get, WYSIWYG. You'll hear that a lot, WYSIWYG. But honest to goodness, Builderall is the closest builder I've ever seen to WYSIWYG. Because most of the time when you're building in blocks, and those blocks get kind of tricky. And if you want something that you want in this box and in this box, it's tricky to get it to cross over and be in both boxes and still look nice. You just aren't able to do that very easily. But with Builderall, it literally is, you pull an image and you take it and you go, I want it right there. And I want it to stay right there. And I want it to cross this item and that item and this item. And I want it to be just right where I put it. Don't move it, right there. And that's hard to do when you're working with other builders because they're so blocky. So that's the amazing thing about the Pixel Perfect Builder. It is true drag and drop WYSIWYG. The other thing I like about it is, and this is, I think a lot of people hate this, but I actually love this, that the desktop and the tablet are responsive, which means if you open up a website that's been built on Builderall on the desktop or the tablet, it's going to respond to whatever size your screen is. So if your screen is small, it'll whoop, shrink everything so it's small. If your screen is big, it'll whoop, make it all big so you can see it all real nice and neat. But if you're on a mobile device, it is not responsive. It's what we call adaptive, which means you take whatever you have on the desktop and you adapt it for what you want it to look like on mobile. Does that take some work? Yes, it does. But it is so effective because when you take a big screen desktop view and you try to shrink it down into a little bitty screen, it is like really bad. It's hard to do that because there's so many elements that you have to consider. And then there's so many devices that you have to consider and how each one is set up, that the sheer math to be able to do that effectively is really difficult. And it doesn't always look nice. The only way to do it really effectively is to have that block formation. So they can take the blocks and stack them. But we like our Pixel Perfect. We don't want blocks. We don't want no stinking blocks. So instead of having blocks, we have an adaptive mobile version where you can go in and look at everything that's on your desktop. And you can say, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. But I don't need this item and I don't need this item. Because remember, we're building for mobile. We don't want to make it so big that it takes up all their bandwidth for the month because they have to download your site. So we can streamline that mobile version and adapt it to what we want it to have and make it a good user experience for the people that are visiting your website. So to me, that's actually an advantage. Would it be easier if it would just respond? Yeah, we'd have to go back to the blocks again though. Right? So it's kind of a what do you want? Do you want blocks and responsive mobile, or do you want Pixel Perfect and adaptive mobile? And for me, I love Pixel Perfect and adaptive. That's my favorite way they've got it set up, and they've done a fabulous job doing that. So in this course, we won't really spend a whole lot of time adapting for mobile because there are some tips and tricks to it, and it will make you pull out your hair. Tyree is an example of what you look like after you work with the mobile adaptation. I'm just kidding, Tyree. but it is frustrating, but there's lots of videos out there, guys, and you can actually even go to some of the previous boot camps, and we talk a little bit about adapting for mobile. And then I've got some YouTube training videos out there. All you have to do is type in Builderall mobile optimization. Builderall mobile optimization, and you'll find probably dozens of videos on how to adapt for mobile. So keep that in mind. It will get a little tricky, a little hairy, but once you've done it a few times, it's not even hard anymore. You know how to do it. Okay. Next one is the save button. This is your friend. He is your best friend, And he can make you very, very happy. And if you forget about him, he can make you really, really sad. So you always want to make sure that you're clicking save really often, because that's going to save your progress as you're working on your website. And then if something goes wrong, the power goes out, you lose internet connection, something like that, you will minimize the amount that you lose if you're saving often. The next one is preview. And preview is fabulous because it gives you an idea of what your website is looking like as you go. There are a few little things that don't work correctly in preview. Like if you're working with an expandable box, the kind that you click it and it expands up, and then you click it again and it expands down. It doesn't work real good on preview. So let me just suggest that use preview often to check your work, but then also go to the live website and check what you're doing as well, just to kind of make sure everything's looking right in the live website. When you do click preview, you've got a neat little button right here that's a camera. And this camera allows you to take pictures of your screen. It's actually fabulous. And what's the value in taking a picture of your screen, of your website? Well, we've got wonderful mock-ups that we can use in our Builderall websites. And those mock-ups are like pictures of cell phones, pictures of billboards, pictures of computers. And you can take an image of your website and put it right on a computer, so it makes it look like somebody's looking at your website on a computer. Or you can put it up on a billboard to make it look like there's actually a billboard that has your website on it. Or you can put it on a cell phone and make it look like somebody's actually looking at their cell phone at your website. So it's a mock-up, and I'll show you where those are at so you can see. I'm going to go back into the dashboard, and I'll go to apps. And under apps, I will go, nope, I'm not going to go to apps. It's design, and then I'll go to Design Studio. And under Design Studio is where we have all the mock-ups. And so these are the images that you could add a picture of your website to. So right here is a picture of like an office, like a desk. And this blue area is called a mask. And you can capture the image of your website and then put it right there in that area. And it would look like that computer has your website on it. Then you could save that picture and come back into the editor and add it to your website. So it's actually a really neat way to create some mock-ups and make your website look really, really professional by creating your image of your website on that computer. So it's really cool what it can do. So that's the camera functionality when you're in preview mode. And then the next button I'm going to look at is the grid lines. If I click on that grid line button, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a grid line. And then over here on the left-hand side, there's a grid line. Let me make my screen a little bit smaller so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So there's a grid line there and a grid line there. There's also a grid line at the top and a grid line at the bottom. So what these are for is to show you exactly where the important areas are of your website. So up here where the grid lines are at, this is the header. Down here, this is the footer. And then here is the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So anything that you want your people to see on your website, you think it's important and they have to see it, they need to be within these grid lines right here. Can you go over the grid lines? You absolutely can. You absolutely can. And I've got a huge monitor on this little laptop I'm on right now. It's like a 17.3-inch monitor on my laptop. And so when I show a website, I will get to see things that are outside in this little white area because my monitor's big. But I also have a little bitty netbook, right? Little bitty, like 7.1-inch screen. So on my netbook, it'll probably only show from this grid line to this grid line because the screen is going to be so small. So always remember that you need to keep the important stuff between the grid lines. It's okay to cross, but make sure that everything that you want the user to see is inside those grid lines. Now, if the grid lines get in the way, you can just click the button again and they go away. If you want them back, you just click it again and they're back. I actually like to keep them active all the time because I have an issue with things being centered and things seeming symmetrical, right? So those grid lines help me to just kind of keep everything even and understand about where my center is. The next button is the ruler. And if I click ruler, you'll see that on the top right here, there's a ruler that appears. And then on the right-hand side, there's another ruler that appears. This is fabulous because it allows you to actually kind of measure what's happening on your website. And you can measure and say, I want my box this big or this tall. So it's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do, if you'll notice, there's these little guidelines right here. I've got several of them. Let's see, you can click and drag them like this. And then I've got some guidelines over here. Normally when you open this, there are no, but I have played with the guidelines in this site before, so they're here already. But if you just click right on the ruler, you can make as many guidelines as you want to. If you click on the right-hand side on the ruler, you can make as many guidelines as you want to. And these guidelines, you can click and drag them. So you can drag them anywhere you want to. And you can drag these ones here anywhere you want to. And here's the importance of these little guidelines, is now you have a way to start organizing your website and making it look nice and neat and very professional. These little guidelines are actually snap to, which means if I click and drag something and get it close to the grid line, it's going to actually snap to it. So now I have the ability to really line things up.
Center up those two elements there now in the middle. They're not centered.
Yeah, they're real easy. Just click center.
Yeah,
and then,
brilliant.
And then
such cool. Look at that. That is so cool.
Super easy. I love it. The next icons are actually undo and redo. And these are exactly what you think they are. If you do an action and you're like, ooh, I didn't mean to do that, you can click undo. And then if you undo and you're like, ooh, I didn't mean to undo, you can actually do redo and it will re-put it back in there. So undo and redo are exactly what you think they are. I haven't had a whole lot of luck with undo and redo. Sometimes I'll click like undo and it will not do anything. And then sometimes I click undo and it takes me back to maybe the last 5 things I did. So it hasn't been like super effective for me. Maybe about 85% of the time it's effective when I use it. Very rarely do I actually use it. If I mess something up, I'll just delete that item or something and then try again. So I don't really use it a whole lot. And then
sorry for interrupting.
Oh, go ahead.
Apologies. While we're here now, you see the way you have Shelley's new home. You probably know this, but a very handy little thing that I just found probably by mistake. When you're in that box, see the box is highlighted. Shelley's new homepage is highlighted. Just use your arrow key up and down.
Oh, yeah,
on the desktop. It's very, very handy if you want to get into tight little spots and line it up with your grid line. Okay, they attach to the grid line as well, but if you're not using it, you can just use it by the arrow key up and down and right and left. It's pretty cool.
And that's a really good tool, David, because what it's doing is it's moving it pixel by pixel. Yeah. And this is the thing that will make the difference in the aesthetics of your website. When you look and see that you're just a couple pixels off, it is hard to grab it by the mouse and just move it a couple pixels. So if you're doing the arrows, it does it ever so slightly, right? Ever so slightly, so that you can move it just that tiny bit that you need to get it lined up correctly. So you're right, the arrows are a fabulous tool to use. Item is the show hidden elements. And when you click that, it pulls up a box. And right now the box is empty because I don't have any hidden elements. But let's say that I wanted to take this text box right here and just hide it for a minute. I can right click it and go to this little eyeball that has a slash in it. And when I click that, it hides it in this box. And then I can just click the icon again and that box goes away. So what's happening now is if I click save, and then a visitor comes to my website, they would not see that text box because it's hidden. I can see it inside the show hide elements, but the visitor can't see it at all. They will never know that that text was actually there. And you can use this for many different things, right? You can hide things to get them out of your way so you can build your website, maybe put things in there and move stuff around and then bring this thing back. You can hide things that are information about your website. I actually I always on the homepage hide the colors that I want to use for my website. So I just create a box, put the colors in there, put the IDs of the colors, and then take that whole box with everything in there and hide it, so that every time I go to that website, if I can't remember the exact code that I need for my colors, I can show that hidden item and it will show me all of my colors. So that's one of the ways that I actually use this particular feature. Another thing that you can do is when you get to the mobile version, so if I click over here to mobile, these items right here, I may not want to show this item on the mobile version, so I can hide it and it won't show on the mobile version at all. So there's lots of neat tricks you can do with this show hide. And then once you click it again and you want to bring it back, you can actually just click the little arrow and it will put it back exactly where it was in the moment that you hit it. Once we do show hide, this box, sometimes you forget how to get rid of it. So how to get rid of it is you just click the show hide again and it will get rid of it. So you click it to turn it on and then you click it to turn it off. Okay, I see a lot of people that message me and say, how do I get the show hide box to go away? You just click that icon again. The next one is backlight, and this one doesn't have a whole lot of value on the actual desktop version, but it is fabulous for when you're editing for mobile. So all I did was click the mobile view, and you can see that the mobile frame is white, and then we have the background of white. So you can imagine if you're doing some editing that this would be really like, you'd become like white blind, right? Like, golly, it's too bright. So the backlight actually helps you with that. If you click it one time, it actually changes that background to black, or sorry, gray, so that you can see the outline of the mobile better, and you can actually work a little bit better. So that makes you see everything way clearer. If that gray is just too harsh, you can click backlight again, and it does a little bit lighter gray, not quite as harsh. And then if you want to go back, you can go to the white again, and you're back to where you started. So that's the backlight feature, and it's tremendously valuable when you're working in the tablet view. So you can backlight that one, or you're working in the mobile view. Either one of those, it kind of helps to bring everything forward so you can work on it better. Is the change border button. Now, if I click on Shelly's homepage, you can see that my border is green, right? And that's important. I need to know where the border is of all of my elements. If I click this one, I can see where the border is of that element as well. And I can see when I'm lining them up if they're going to be close to each other, far from each other. That's an important thing to be considering when I'm building my website. But there may be a time in the background of my website that it's almost the same color as the border. You can imagine how challenging it would be if my background was green and then the border was green as well. I wouldn't be able to see the borders. So I can actually do this change border and change the color of the border. So I'm going to click it one time, and you can see now that it's changed that border to a blue. Okay, and that might be easier to see based on the background color. If I don't like the blue, I can click change again, and it will go to like a dark gray. And if that dark gray is not clear enough, you can click it again, and it goes to a super duper light gray. I'm not sure you can see that, but it is super duper light. And then if none of that works, you can click it again and go all the way back to the green. So all this does is cycle through a bunch of colors for your borders so that you can see those borders way better. So that's the function of that particular button. And then you can keep clicking through, and it will take you all the way back to the green. So it doesn't mess you up and take it away. It just goes in full circle all the way back. The next area is a drop-down menu, and it shows all of my layouts and pages in this website. And you can see I've got a couple of layouts and I've got several pages. And in those, in this particular menu, if I click any of these pages, I'll actually go straight to those pages. So this is a way for me to navigate around my website real quickly by just clicking the down arrow and then choosing the page that I want to go to. And I can go back and forth between pages super duper quickly. All of that's possible right here using this menu. All right, so if I want the tablet view off and I just want desktop view to show on the tablet, all I do is go to the double gears right here, and I go to website settings. And when I do that, one of the very first boxes is tablet mode setting. And I'm going to set that to no, and then I'm going to click this little save. And once I do that, the tablet icon is gone. It is no longer there. So now I cannot edit the tablet view. because it is set to be responsive. It's going to show the desktop view. It's just going to shrink it down some. So that's what you can do to make it as easy as possible to edit your website. It's the mobile version. And if I click that, this gives me the ability to edit my mobile version. And here's one of the tools that makes it so much easier, this little wrench tool. If I click the wrench, it's going to take all of the elements that I have on my desktop, and I can choose to take all of them and have it put them on the mobile view for me and adjust them to do its best to make it look like the desktop. Okay. And my favorite right here is the copy desktop. When you click that, it just takes everything on the desktop and tries really hard to move it over to the mobile. It's not always completely successful. So sometimes you'll have to do a little bit of editing, a little bit of moving around, taking some things out, putting some things in, making that mobile view exactly what you want it to be. But it is made easier by these buttons. Once you got everything moved in, you can actually then just save it, and there's your mobile view. Now, I wish I could say this was easy peasy, nice and breezy, but it's not. You're gonna have to work at it. You're gonna spend a bunch of time building your desktop view, and then you spend a little bit of time creating your mobile view. Remember, you're adapting it from the desktop version. So it's gonna take a little bit to edit. But like I've said before, once you get the hang of it and understand kind of the ins and outs of how to do it, it really goes fast. You can have it done quickly, and it's exactly what you want for your mobile. So this first item is the page icon. And if I click it, it's going to show me all the layouts that I have in this website. And you can see on this one, I have 3 layouts. So what's a layout? All a layout is a collection of pages. That's all it is a collection of pages. So it's like a bucket, and inside the bucket, there's pages. So there's the layout number 1 bucket, and inside that bucket, there's some website pages. There's a store bucket, and inside that bucket, there's some pages. And then there's Gabriel's layout, and inside Gabriel's layout bucket, there's some pages, okay? Every single one of these layouts is just like a bucket, and inside the bucket, there's pages. Now, this is the important thing to remember, is every single page inside of a layout is going to have the same header and the same footer. That's the important idea behind a layout. So if I go into this layout, I'm going to just click the arrow. You can see that I've got all kinds of pages. And all of these pages inside this layout have the same header and the same footer. Now this starts to be really important when you talk about navigating through your website and being able to get from page to page, or even from layout to layout, because you'll put menus usually in the header. And remember, those menus that you put in the header, every single page would get that menu, right? So you need to be thinking about how it impacts your web pages, putting web pages in certain layouts, because you need to be thinking about the headers and footers and what those pages need, okay? So I'm going to go back to layout. There's my 3 layouts here. If I click the arrow, the first thing I see is a bunch of buttons right here. These affect the entire layout. So whatever you do, you're going to be affecting the layout. So these buttons are, right here, we've got the remove layout. If you click that, you're going to delete the entire layout. The second one is change background. If you click here and change the background, it's going to change the background of all of the pages in this layout. Right here, you've got font customization, where you can start creating groups of fonts that you want to use for your layout. This is similar if you've ever done Cascade styling sheets, where you set up the font ahead of time, and then you can just grab them and use them because you've already set them up. So you don't have to keep formatting your font every time to the ones that you want. You just set it up ahead of time. The next button is the layout settings. This is where you're going to go in and set up the name of your layout. You're going to set up a description. There's all kinds of things you can do. Here's that screen right here. And let's talk about what you can do with the layout settings. So first one, you can set up a favicon. A favicon is, if you take a look here at the top of my screen where I've got Facebook, and you see that little symbol for Facebook right there, that is a favicon. You can create your own favicon and upload it here, and it will show on the tab just like this. And I'll show you an example of one that I did. Social media explosion, I think maybe. Let's see if that'll load. Nope, not that one. I think Builderall Bootcamps has one. So it's loading on the tab, and there's that favicon right there. So it's actually just a picture of the octopus that's sitting in a chair and like flames all around him. So that is the favicon. So you can change your favicon and make it anything you want to for your website. I think I've got another one right here. Let me show you. Let's see. Travel.builderall.com. This one I think has like a coconut or something. Let me see if it'll load. Come on, you can do it. Let's go. There we go. So you can see on this tab, it's really little, but it's like a little coconut glass with a little umbrella. So it's really, really tiny. But those are the favicons you can do. You can make them anything you want. You just upload the picture right there. Then you've got the title of the layout. And the title of the layout is going to appear in the tab. So if you look at this tab right here, the first part of it says Builderall Vacation. That's what the layout name is for the page that I'm on, is Builderall Vacation. So that is the title of the page, okay? Then we put a description in there. The title and the description are SEO sensitive. The keywords are SEO sensitive, so it's going to help you in ranking. Then you've got an area for meta tags for your layout. You've got an area to put your Facebook pixel script so that you can be tracking the people that come to your website. You've got an area for analytics script, like something like Google Analytics. And then there's another script area. If you've just got some scripts that you need to add to your website and they need to be added to the header of your website, then you can actually put those right there. And then the last part is the Mailing Boss integration. That's going to allow you to integrate some really neat features about Mailing Boss. One of them that you guys know about already, which were the videos that I created on how to list hop. So those that ID right there, that integration key, is actually still left over from when I did the training on list hopping. So there's a lot of neat features that you can handle just in setting up your layout settings. So I'll go to return. And the last button here on layout settings is the little padlock. This padlock enables you to protect your layout so that only people that are allowed permission to get into that layout. So these are great to create membership areas, e-learning type areas, courses. If you want to deliver things like on a monthly basis or a weekly basis or something like that, you can do like a membership type site. This is a fabulous way to lock down a layout so that the only way to get in is if you've given them permission or if they've purchased something from you and they get access to that area. And all of it's automated, so you can actually set it up so it all happens where you don't have to go in and approve people. It actually is approved automatically by the way you set it up. So that is a fabulous way to set up little member areas or courses. So those are the layout settings. So now if I go down here and look at my pages, you can see that all of my pages here, I've got a lot of them, are listed. I can check mark this box right here, and it will put them in alphabetical order for me. Or I hate alphabetical order, so I'm going to uncheck it. And now I can click and drag these and put them in any order I want to. So I can just click and drag and put them in any order. And this is important because as we work in sales funnels and we build sales funnels, you're going to want to see these things in the order that they're going in your funnel. So as you organize your pages, you'll probably do a little bit of click and dragging to put those pages visibly in the order you want them in as you're building your funnel. So that's the value of being able to organize these pages, is you can actually really see what you're building. It's still kind of one-dimensional, of course, but it helps when you're building. So you'll definitely want to try out that feature of being able to drag and drop those pages in the order that you want. And now if we look at the pages in general, each of these pages have a little gear on the right-hand side. If I click that gear, it actually allows me to change the settings on the page. Remember before we were changing all the stuff on the layout, which means every page in the layout. Now we can go in and edit just the things for the page. So I've got some buttons here. The red one is the trash can. I can delete this. The second one is change background. And again, you can change the background of this page and only this page. Remember when we were looking at the layout settings, we had this same button, but if you click it, you're going to change the background of all pages, not just this page. So here, if we click this button, it's only changing this page. Is the blue little chart-like button. This is conversion tests. This is what allows you to set up A/B split testing. You can do some click analytics. So if you've got some buttons that people are clicking and you want to see which button works best, you can actually do some click analytics and see what's happening with your buttons. So there's a lot of neat stuff you can do with the analytics area right here. My favorite, of course, is the A/B split testing. So you can really hone in on what pages are working best for your marketing efforts. The next button is the transfer page. This allows you to move a page from one layout to the next. It's really super easy to do, but I want you to remember one thing about it, and that is whatever you move that page to, it will get the header and footer of that page. So if you don't want to lose the header and footer for a page, you don't need to transfer it to another layout, okay? That's the most important thing to remember about transfer. The next button is duplicate, and this allows you to copy a page and then use that page again over and over and over. I actually do that on the Builderall Bootcamps. I have pages that are pre-made as a template, and then all I do is copy the page and then use it to change a few things, to add the video, to add the homework, and to add the instructions at the end. All that kind of stuff is added, but the page itself is already made and there, so all I do is copy it. So it makes it really, really easy. For e-learning situation where you're building a course, I would definitely pre-build each of the lesson pages and then just copy it each time and then change it accordingly. That makes it really easy. The next button is configure pop-up. This allows you to set up a pop-up for your website so that you can inform people about something. You can set up a sign-up form. You can do a short video. I mean, there's whatever you can do on a page, you can set up in the pop-up. And also on the pop-up, you can set it up to pop up immediately. It can pop up within a certain amount of time. So say you don't want it to show until maybe a minute in, you can set that up. You can make it pop up based on scrolling, where if they scroll down to a certain point, then it's going to pop up. Or you can pop it up based on just an amount of time. So there's lots of neat stuff that you can do with pop-ups.
Excuse me, Shelley.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
On that pop-up, that would be the same feature like when we go to builderallbootcamps.com, where it says subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yep.
That would be that same. Would that be that same feature?
Yep. Let's take a look at it. So I'm going to refresh and see if I can get it to pop up. Hey, come on, baby, you can do it.
It usually pops up every time. There we go.
There it is. Yeah, I think I had it for like 10 seconds. But yeah, there's a subscribe pop-up, and then they can click the button to subscribe, and it makes it super easy. So that's just an example of how you can use the pop-up. Okay? And
you said that we can put a video in that same spot on that pop-up?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's actually just like a page, Tyree. So anything you can add to the page as far as elements, you can actually add it to the pop-up as well. The next area is name. So you want to do the name of your page, and then the address. And the address is important to remember, no spaces. The internet does not like spaces in any URLs. So don't put any spaces in there. Then you've got the title of the page. And remember when we looked at this little Builderall vacation right here, if we look at the tab, the first part of it is Builderall vacation. Then there's a little pipe symbol, and then it says travel with Builderall. So what it's doing is the layout name is Builderall Vacation, and then the page title is Travel with Builderall. So it takes the layout name and the page title and puts it together to make up the tab. So again, that's really important because you want to make sure these tabs are customized. And right here, we've got the Builderall Bootcamps. If you look at it and hover over the tab, The layout name is Builderall. The page name is Bootcamps. So that's what's showing on my tab. So you can see now I can customize my tab by putting my own favicon on there and putting the exact names of the layouts and the pages that I want to appear on the tab. That's a lot of control. I love it. And remember that the name, the address, and the title are all SEO sensitive, along with the description. And then, of course, you've got keywords that you can work on as well. Then this particular area shows you what your tab is going to look like. So right now, my layout name is number 1. And my layout name is layout number 1. And then I don't have a title. So let's put a title in there. So I'm going to put a title of Shelly is awesome. And now that I have a title in there, if I go down to this area and click update, you can see now that it put the page title in there. So my tab would look like layout number 1, pipe symbol, Shelly is awesome. That's what my tab would look like right now. So this gives you an idea of what your tab will look like. Then the next area is share image. And you can upload an image that you will share on Facebook. So I want to just kind of show you how this works. I'm going to go to Facebook. I'm going to go to my profile. And I'm going to type in social media explosion.com. And I'm going to put the HTTP. There we go. So what it's going to do is it's going to go out and it's going to try to find Social Media Explosion, and it's going to pull back the share picture that I had. Let me redo it. We'll just cancel, try it again. Social Media Explosion.com. All right, and I'm going to click post. Let's see what it does. And it should be pulling a picture back, and it started to. I probably messed it up. Let me delete this one and try again. The poor people on my Facebook are going, what on earth is she doing? There we go. So socialmediaexplosion.com. And what it does is it goes out to Social Media Explosion, and it takes a look at what you've just typed in there, and it looks for whatever share image that you put in the website, and it's going to pull the share image back. And it's making me like a total liar. So let me try it again. We'll do it with the complete, fully qualified domain name and see if that works. There we go. We got it now. So what it's done is I put that website in there. It's gone back and pulled the picture that I have for that particular website. That's the share image. So that image is the image that I put right there. So anytime I share this page, it's going to pull that image. Now, obviously, I need to do a little bit of editing because it's a little bit too tall. So I'd have to go back in there and kind of stretch that down a little bit, make it a little bit shorter for it to be effective. But you can see that you can add that share image for any page you want to. This is on the page settings. So every single page you can put a share image on there. The next one is page head scripts. So if you've got a script that needs to go on the page head area of your website, then you would put that script right here. And then, of course, we've got Mailing Boss reference tag. This is part of that cool thing that I did the other day with the training on how to list hop. And it helps to do a lot of neat things with Mailing Boss. So those are the page settings. Let's go ahead and go back. And remember that we've got layouts, which is a collection of pages. Then we click this arrow and we go to all of our pages. We can edit our layout stuff right here. If we want to edit page stuff, we just click the gear on the page, and now we can add page stuff. So that is where you're going to spend a lot of time in the beginning, is on your page icon, setting up your pages. The next button is configure pop-up. This allows you to set up a pop-up for your website so that you can inform people about something. You can set up a sign-up form. You can do a short video. I mean, there's whatever you can do on a page, you can set up in the pop-up. And also on the pop-up, you can set it up to pop up immediately, It can pop up within a certain amount of time. So say you don't want it to show until maybe a minute in, you can set that up. You can make it pop up based on scrolling, where if they scroll down to a certain point, then it's going to pop up. Or you can pop it up based on just an amount of time. So there's lots of neat stuff that you can do with pop-ups.
Excuse me, Shelley.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
On that pop-up, that would be the same feature like when we go to builderallbootcamps.com, where it says subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yep.
That would be that same. Would that be that same feature?
Yep, let's take a look at it. So I'm going to refresh and see if I can get it to pop up. Come on, baby, you can do it.
It usually pops up every time. There we go.
There it is. Yeah, I think I had it for like 10 seconds. But yeah, there's a subscribe pop-up, and then they can click the button to subscribe, and it makes it super easy. So that's just an example of how you can use the pop-up. Okay?
And you said that we can put a video in that same spot on that pop-up?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's actually just like a page, Tyree. So anything you can add to the page as far as elements, you can actually add it to the pop-up as well. Guys, we'll go back into the editor, and let me go back right here and explain what this is. The T is for text. And if I click on it, it's going to open a really interesting window right here that shows me the standard text that I want to use for my website. So again, if you've ever worked with CSS, Cascade Styling Sheets, you've been like an HTML programmer, you'll know what this is all about, and that is setting up your text before you ever start building your website. So what text do you want to use that are the standard text that you're okay with using for your website so that you have consistency all the way through? Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but there have been some websites I've been on where they use 65 different fonts. And again, that's one of those things, guys, that even though you may not be able to point it out and say, yeah, I didn't like that website because they use 65 fonts, you will say, I wasn't really comfortable on that website. So you need to standardize your fonts and use the same fonts throughout, and not 65. You can use just a few. And you'll standardize those fonts right here. So every time you pull an H1 type of font, then this is what that font will look like on desktop. And this is what it'll look like on mobile. Every time you pull an H2 font, this is what it'll look like on desktop, and this is what it will look like on mobile. Okay, so you can see that I have a lot of power in standardizing my font. So then all I do is pull it, and it does exactly what I want it to do. So let's see what happens if I click on this first one, the H1. If I look at Shelley's new homepage, you can see that it is that font, right? It's that exact font. But what if I want to change it? What if I don't want it that one? So I'm going to click on here, and now I have the ability to change it on the desktop and the mobile view. So I think all I'll do is maybe change the color to red, and then okay. And then I'll make sure that my font color is black for the mobile. So now every time I'm on desktop view and I pull an H1 font, this is what it's going to look like. And also I want you to notice it changed it right here. So if you've got throughout your website where you've chosen H1 and then you change it on the main settings, it will change it everywhere in your website. Okay, that's really important to remember.
Excuse me, Shelley.
Go ahead.
I do have a question. Like, I noticed you said that wherever you have that, it's going to look the same on each page.
Mm-hmm.
But if, say, for instance, if I'm on a different page and I want it to be another color, can I go into that page there and change just that page color, or is it still going to affect all the other?
You can change it. I want you to notice that's a really good question. If I just make a copy of this and I want to change the copy of this, I don't want it. I do not want it the standard one. I want to make it special. So I can click inside of here, and then right here I've got a button that says use new style. So I can click that button. I can choose a different font, a different size, and I can change the color. So let's just change this color to black. And see, now I've changed that, but it's only that one element. This one stays the same.
And then from there, I can delete the one that I didn't want, and then the one that I created, I can put it in that place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jelly is awesome.
Thank you so much. Then you can build a sitemap for your website, which is good for Google indexing. And then website settings, we kind of looked at that already. The website settings allow you to turn tablet mode on and off, mobile mode on and off. You can scale for mobile devices, which means that the scaling is it takes the big version and shrinks it down for you to help you make it the right size for the mobile version. And then this is the next big thing that you need to look at is reply email. It's set automatically to ebusinessforus.com. But if you have an email that you want to use, that when this system sends out automated emails, they can reply back to you. You can replace this email with your email. And then if they get an email from the website, like they had an abandoned cart or they bought something or they joined as a member, all of those things are website related. You can change this email so that when they get the email, they can reply back to you and it will come to you instead of going to this address, okay? The app language is English. And then remember we talked about these little tabs and how it shows the layout name first and then the page title. Well, right here, you can change that. It's set up for layout and page title, but I can set it up to go page layout. Or I can have it show just the layout or just the page. I actually I really like layout page, so I keep it that. And then the separator. So when I hover over this tab, the separator is a little pipe symbol. But if you don't want that symbol, you can click a dash or a squiggle. So you can choose which separator you want between the layout name and the page title name. And then the mobile tab color. When you're working on the mobile version of this, you can actually make it so that the tab color, which is the area at the top, actually has a specific color. I just leave mine default. I don't actually ever change it. If you do ever change these settings, you just go to the little save and then go to the big save to make sure that they're all saved. And then action counters are the anything that has an action on it. So if you right click an item and it says action on the menu, okay? If it has action on the menu, you're able to work with action counters and it will count how many times that action has occurred. So if you want the action to be a click, then when they click it, it'll collect how many times it clicked and you can actually watch that action happen. So it's actually really cool to be able to track what's happening with your website and look at some basic analytics of what's happening. So that's the double gears area, is the blog area. If I click on that, it actually allows me to add a blog, which I've already done on this website. Typically, you only see one button, which says add blog. But once you add a blog, then you get these new pages that it's created, or these new functionalities that it's created, and it creates pages in the background for you. So using these buttons, I can actually manage my blog, how it looks, how it's set up on the page. I can do my blog articles here. There's a lot I can do just in this area to manage my blog. So that's the blog settings. And again, adding a blog is so easy. You just click one button and it does all the work in the background to add that blog for you.
Excuse me, Shelley.
Go ahead.
On that one, this is probably a question I haven't asked because I always ask the question because I have people that's going to be watching this training. Now, when you do add that blog, that means you're adding it from where it was already loaded into the site, not when you connect to the site. Am I correct?
Well, what this is it's creating a blog on this website. So let me show you what it's done, Tyree, to kind of give you an example. If I go to the pages icon, and I think it's in my layout. I think I added it to the layout. Do you see those blue buttons right there? Or sorry, yes. Blue pages? Yes, those are the blog pages. It added those pages for me automatically when I click that button that says add blog. So it's creating the blog in this website. Remember we talked about you're going to spend a lot of time in that plus button. Even with blogs you will. Because if I go to the plus button and then I go down here to the bottom, these are blog apps. So these are the elements that I can use to add to any page in Builderall that I build. So if I click that, remember that I've already attached my blog. So I've got a blog on this website. So now I can add cloud tags. And these are the tags that I've offered. I can add that category list. That's exactly what we saw on that 365 site. I can add a search window so we can actually search our articles. I can add a date filter. So I can actually say, I want to only see the articles that were written in April. And then another date filter, that's a drop down. I can do a news slider. This allows me to, on any page, not just a blog page, but any page, I can add this element and then set it up so that it slides news articles or new articles that I created. I can do a news feed. This allows me to, on any page, add a news feed and then say, I want to only pull the news from these categories. I want to only pull the articles that have this tag. So you can, again, start to really customize the way your everything looks. And then you've got the news feed or RSS feed. Your blog gets an RSS feed that somebody else can use to add to their website. So you get more juice. And then you've got a news gallery. So you can actually set this up on any page so that you can say, I only want the mindset articles to show on this page. So you can see that these elements alone help you to break apart your blog, and you can start building individual pages for each category if you want to. And so you can have a mindset page, make it all pretty, and then have only mindset articles in there. So there's so much power in the blog. This one is the shopping cart. And remember, the shopping cart is actually tied to this button, the very first one we looked at, which is the panel button. So here in the shopping cart, if I click it, it normally has just a button that says add store, but I've already added a store here. So it's created a couple of new buttons for me to manage my store. So I can go in there and manage the way it looks, the way it feels, the colors, the design, everything is done here. And then once I'm done with the design part, then I'm going to go all the way over here to this panel button, and I'm going to click that to be able to manage my products, categories, prices, taxes, shipping, all that stuff I'll manage in the C panel area. So appearance here, and then products here. And those two work together definitely. The title of the layout, and the title of the layout is going to appear in the tab. So if you look at this tab right here, the first part of it says Builderall Vacation. That's what the layout name is for the page that I'm on, is Builderall Vacation. So that is the title of the page, okay? Then we put a description in there. The title and the description are SEO sensitive. The keywords are SEO sensitive, so it's going to help you in ranking. Then you've got an area for meta tags for your layout. You've got an area to put your Facebook pixel script so that you can be tracking the people that come to your website. You've got an area for analytics script, like something like Google Analytics. And then there's another script area. If you've just got some scripts that you need to add to your website and they need to be added to the header of your website, then you can actually put those right there. And then the last part is the Mailing Boss integration. That's going to allow you to integrate some really neat features about Mailing Boss. One of them that you guys know about already, which were the videos that I created on how to list hop. So those that ID right there, that integration key, is actually still left over from when I did the training on list hopping. So there's a lot of neat features that you can handle just in setting up your layout settings.
How reliable is Builderall as a platform or as a hosting company that our sites are going to be up?
Yeah, the industry standard is 99.9% uptime, right?
Okay.
That's the industry standard. And Builderall, if you'll go to a site called pingdom.com, Pingdom, pingdom.com, you can actually set it up so that one of your sites, it can be any site that you want to in Builderall, you can assign it so that it checks that site all the time to see if it's up and running. And it will actually text message you and let you know if it's down. And the consistent number I get with Builderall, it tells me every week a summary of how much I've been up and how much I've been down. And most weeks it's 100% up. Every once in a while, I get 99.9% up. But it's never gone down below 99.9%. And I watch it like a hawk.